The next little bit you need to be aware of is the importance of fitness testing to sports performers and coaches. What it does, as well as a teacher, we do it with every Year 7 group that comes in, and you've done it obviously in fitness testing and training, in healthy fitness in the law school, is it gives us baseline data so we can then set what group an individual goes in. So that helps us with that and improving performance. It can also allow us for when you get older to designate training programs for you. So when I taught A level, this was a big one. We had to do something called a PEP when I taught it, and a PEP was an exercise program over 6 to 8 weeks. So what it would do is we would look at a fitness method, test it to see where your strengths and weaknesses were, and from that I would be able to devise a fitness program for an individual to follow that would allow them to increase. Again, looking at our SMARTER principles would have been specific, measurable, time, attainable and realistic. The results can also give the performer something to aim for. So if with the tests that I've gone through above for the components of fitness, if we did that over a 4-6 week period, your first week you use as your baseline, and what you would do is you would set yourself a target of improving on those tests and on those results. So it gives you, so you can use goal setting, and it gives you an aim for the end. When we're sitting each test, it's important that there's certain requirements are met. So you have to do something called a pre-test procedure. So you have to sign a consent form to say that you're fit enough and you're healthy enough to be able to take part. You've got to understand that the results that you're going to be given, or the results that are going to be recorded, might be published and could be put into educational journals that people use, especially in universities. This is the case. You've got to know the purpose for each test result, fitness test. So you've got to know the purpose of it. Why are you doing it? Well, if you're doing the sit and reach test, that's to test your flexibility. If you're doing a 35-metre sprint test, that's to test your speed. Another requirement is it's got to be an accurate measurement and recording of test results. It's got to be measurable, and it's got to be accurate. You can't say, oh, in a minute I did about 58 press-ups. It's got to be a specific number and a specific number that you got whilst doing it in that time. The results that you get have got to be interpreted as well, so that they'll be put in graphs and it'll be analysed, and you might actually find that you analyse yourself against somebody else in the class. When we do this, and if this was done at random, what we would do is we would safely select the tests, give purposes and situations for the participants and why we were doing it. The terms reliability and validity and practicality comes into each training methods. It's got to be reliable. It's got to be valid, so the results that you get are valid. Like I say, it's got to be, you did 58 press-ups in a minute, not, oh, I did about 62. It's got to be valid, and it's got to be practical, so that we could just go and do it anywhere. It can be set up easily. Anybody else can replicate it. And last but not least, there's obviously a requirement for the fitness test is there's advantages and disadvantages of doing each one. And there's always going to be advantages and disadvantages. So if you're doing the bleep test, for example, comparing that to another test that you can do for aerobic endurance, which is something called a yo-yo test, there's advantages and disadvantages of each one because each test is slightly different. But obviously it's up to the person who's delivering the test to work that out.